A blonde and a redhead have a ranch. They have just lost their bull. The women need to buy another, but only have $500. The redhead tells the blonde, "I will go to the market and see if I can find one for under that amount. If I can, I will send you a telegram." She goes to the market and finds one for $499. Having only $1 left, she goes to the telegraph office and finds out that it costs $1 per word. She is stumped on how to tell the blonde to bring the truck and trailer. Finally, she tells the telegraph operator to send the word comfortable. Skeptical, the operator asks, "How will she know to come with the trailer from just that word?" The redhead replies, "She's a blonde, so she reads slow. Comfortable." Beulah decides it's time to become a businessman. So after reading many chicken jokes, it seems like a chicken farm would be the best idea. Said and done. First, buy 100 chickens. After the second month, another 100, and keep it for a whole year. After a year, at the New Year's Eve party, he meets Johnny, who used to say the best chicken jokes before. Johnny: "Well, how's the business going?" Beulah: "Bad, brother. Sorry about everything." Johnny: "Why?" Beulah: "I don't have any chickens anymore." Johnny: "Good God, why?" Beulah: "If I know, I think I'm doing something wrong. Either I plant them too deeply or don't water them enough, but one doesn't raise the hen." Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson decide to go on a camping trip. After dinner and a bottle of wine, they lay down for the night and go to sleep. Some hours later, Holmes awoke and nudged his faithful friend. "Watson, look up at the sky and tell me what you see." Watson replied, "I see millions of stars." "What does that tell you?" Watson pondered for a minute. "Astronomically, it tells me that there are millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Astrologically, I observe that Saturn is in Leo. Horologically, I deduce that the time is approximately 3:15. Theologically, I can see that God is all-powerful and that we are small and insignificant. Meteorologically, I suspect that we will have a beautiful day tomorrow. What does it tell you, Holmes?" Holmes was silent for a minute, then spoke. "Watson, you idiot! Someone has stolen our tent." At school, little Johnny's classmate tells him that most adults are hiding at least one dark secret, so it's very easy to blackmail them by saying, "I know the whole truth." Little Johnny decides to go home and try it out. Johnny's mother greets him at home, and he tells her, "I know the whole truth." His mother quickly hands him $20 and says, "Just don't tell your father." Quite pleased, the boy waits for his father to get home from work and greets him with, "I know the whole truth." The father promptly hands him $40 and says, "Please don't say a word to your mother." Very pleased, the boy is on his way to school the next day when he sees the mailman at his front door. The boy greets him by saying, "I know the whole truth." The mailman immediately drops the mail, opens his arms and says, "Then come give your daddy a great big hug." It's Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and a man makes his way to his seat at center court. He sits down and notices that the seat next to him is empty. He leans over and asks his neighbor if someone is sitting there. He responds, "No, the seat's empty." The first man exclaims, "What? Who in their right mind would have a seat like this for the NBA Finals and not use it?" The neighbor responds, "Well, the seat is mine, but my wife passed away and this is the first NBA Finals we haven't been together." The first man responds, "I'm sorry to hear that. Wasn't there anyone else, a friend or relative, that could have taken that seat?" The neighbor responds, "No, they're all at the funeral." A broke guy walks past a pub. He looks at the door longingly, but since he has no money, he walks on. Just then, he spots a lamp lying in the gutter. He picks it up and rubs it, and a genie emerges. "I will grant you 3 wishes," intones the genie. "Give me a bottomless mug of beer," the guy says. A mug of beer appears in his hand. He takes a sip, then another. With each chug, the mug magically refills. "And for your other 2 wishes?" Between swallows, the lucky guy shouts, "Give me 2 more just like this one!" The Pope goes to New York and gets picked up at the airport by a limousine. He looks at the beautiful car and says to the driver, "You know, I hardly ever get to drive. Would you please let me?" The driver is understandably hesitant and says, "I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm supposed to do that." But the Pope persists. "Please?" The driver finally lets up, "Oh, all right, I can't really say no to the Pope." So the Pope takes the wheel, and boy, is he a speed demon. He hits the gas and goes around 100 miles per hour in a 45 zone. A policeman notices and pulls him over. The cop walks up and asks the Pope to wind the window down. Startled and surprised, the young officer asks the Pope to wait a minute. He goes back to his patrol car and radios the chief. Cop: "Chief, I have a problem." Chief: "What sort of problem?" Cop: "Well, you see, I pulled over this guy for driving way over the speed limit, but it's someone really important." Chief: "Important like the mayor?" Cop: No, much more important than that." Chief: "Important like the governor?" Cop: "Way more important than that." Chief: "Like the president?" Cop: "Much more important." Chief: "Who's more important than the president?" Cop: "I don't know, but he has the Pope driving for him." Every Friday, a guy would walk into a bar and order 3 beers. Then he'd sit at a table, drink each one by himself and leave. He does this every Friday for a few weeks until the bartender becomes so curious he has to ask the guy about this routine. "Well, you see, I have 2 buddies and we always would have a beer with each other when we were together. But now they've both moved to different parts of the country. We still keep up the tradition where we're at and have just 1 beer for each of us on Friday nights." His curiosity satisfied, the bartender goes back to serving his other customers. This goes on for several months until one day the guy comes in and orders only 2 beers. Seeing how sad the fellow is, the bartender brings him his 2 beers and offers condolences for his loss. Confused, the guy asks why the bartender was offering condolences. "It's just that since you normally order 3 beers, but tonight you only ordered 2, I just figured something must have happened to one of your buddies." "Oh no, we're all just fine. It's just that it's Lent and I gave up drinking till Easter." An elderly man in Phoenix calls his son in New York and says, "I hate to ruin your day, but I have to tell you that your mother and I are divorcing. 45 years of misery is enough." "Pop, what are you talking about?" the son screams. "We can't stand the sight of each other any longer," the old man says. "We're sick and tired of each other, and I'm sick of talking about this. So you call your sister in Chicago and tell her." And he hangs up. Frantic, the son calls his sister, who explodes on the phone. "Like heck, they're getting a divorce!" she shouts. "I'll take care of this." She calls Phoenix immediately and screams at the old man. "You are not getting divorced. Don't do a single thing until I get there. I'm calling my brother back and we'll both be there tomorrow. Until then, don't do a thing. Do you hear me?" And she hangs up. The old man hangs up his phone, smiles, and turns to his wife. They're coming for Easter and paying their own way. Patty was quietly minding her own business, eating her soup alone in her booth at a local eatery, when a voice startled her from behind. It was the guy in the booth behind her. "Not so loud," he said. "What?" she questioned as she took another spoonful of soup. "I said not so loud," was his muffled reply. Embarrassed at being told she was slurping her soup, she pushed away her bowl and started her grilled cheese sandwich. "How was your day?" questioned the man from behind once again. "Pretty good," responded Patty, confused that this stranger would care. "Did you pass the exam?" came the next question from behind. "I don't know. I didn't get my grade yet," replied a thoroughly bewildered Patty. "I'll have to call you back when I'm out of here," came the voice from behind once again. "Some nut job is answering every question I ask you." A blonde wanted to go ice fishing, so after getting all of the right tools, she headed toward the nearest frozen lake. After getting comfy on her stool, she started to cut a circular hole in the ice. Then from the heavens a voice boomed, "There are no fish under the ice." Startled, the blonde moved further down the ice, poured a thermos of hot chocolate, and started to cut yet another hole in the ice. The voice boomed, "There are no fish under the ice." This time quite scared, the blonde moved to the far end of the ice. Then she started another hole, and once again the voice said, "There are no fish under the ice." The very scared blonde raised her head and said, "Is that you, Lord?" The voice answered, "No, it is the manager of the ice hockey rink."